when I see very young people trying to be life coaches, I don't want your life advice.
Yeah. You talk a lot about mindset in your book. What's one belief that separates a 6-figure agent from a 7-figure agent?
I think the first million is the hardest to make.
Why?
I think it's just mindset of, can I get there? And I mean, not necessarily annually. I mean, to have $1 million. I think that's the hardest one to make. Once you have some money, it's easier to make money. In business, the ups and downs of the market can determine how successful a year can be. Like right now, it's a tough real estate market. So even great agents aren't making as much money as they were 3 and 4 years ago. And even that's an anomaly. We haven't really had a normal real estate market since 2019. And in basically from 2008's the crash, 9 terrible, 10 terrible, 11 not good, getting out of the weeds, 12 starting to stabilize, 13 normalizing, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Those were like normal markets for the most part. 20 shakes up with COVID, 21, unrealistic expectations, rates bottom out, real estate goes to the roof, mortgage companies close more deals than they ever have, 21, 22, part of 23. Then part of 23, 24, now 25 have been not good because rates shot up, homeowner affordability. So no refis available, no one wants to refinance because they're not going to get out of a 3 to get into a 7. Most people don't want to purchase because of the same thing. And so we've had that. So I say that in the sense of the environment can determine income, not effort. But effort is always what stays present with those that will still succeed when times get hard versus those that blame the environment on why they're not succeeding. I'll give you an example. I've said this many times. When I went bankrupt in 2010, I worked just as hard as I do now. I just lost everything because of the environment, right? And I don't want to blame the environment with everything, but it really is. I mean, 2008 crushed me and it crushed most people. No pity party here, but that's the case. But I didn't stop working. I just kept working.
Yeah.
Because that's all you can do. Like you never point the finger at why. You don't blame people why. You say it's my problem, and in order to fix it, I just got to keep working. What happens is you're a genius when the market works in your favor. You're ignorant when it doesn't. And throughout my experience, I find that sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, but it's very rare. When you're good and you put effort in, sometimes you just happen to find luck. And so the way I've always looked at things is that to this day, every day of my life, I get up and I go to work. And every day is a challenge, and every day I try to get a little bit better every week, every month, every quarter. By doing so, we happen to get better. I happen to get better. Some months are better than others. Some years are better than others. But what I find is that consistency with effort is what always pays off. Even in hard times, as long as you're consistent with the effort, you will find that you can still have success regardless. Because a lot of people fall off during hard times, and you can overcome that. So effort's a big thing. Now, when I say the million's the hardest to make, I've done that 3 times now, meaning the third time in my life when I once again became a millionaire was like 2013. And I've been fortunate enough to maintain that and grow and do whatever. The other times in my life, I think part of it was when you're very young and you're not really sure how money works is when you can get in trouble. Life experience, anybody watching this that has life experience when it comes to generating wealth or generating money, what they'll tell you is throughout their life, they've gotten smarter with their money. Mm-hmm. I'm fortunate to be at a stage right now in my life where I now have to manage what I do with my money in a smart way, but I've learned so much over the past 20 years that hopefully I believe I'm making right decisions now because I know what I won't do versus what I think I will do, and or what I want to do, or how I look at things, how I look at deals, how I look at investments. You know, back in my 20s, the first time I became a millionaire was 27. I started buying up all these properties thinking that, hey, I'll just pay these off in 15 years or on 15-year mortgages, put tenants in there. All of a sudden, I'll have all my houses paid off in 15 years. I'll be sitting on a huge nest egg. And the problem is I didn't understand how all that really worked. I didn't understand that when you go vacant for a certain period of time, that can eat away. And if you have, I had close to like 60 properties. And all of a sudden, if 20 of those go vacant on 15-year mortgage rates, all of a sudden that can suck and bleed you dry in terms of the in terms of your cash flow. You get spanked and you turn around and you say, gosh, that was stupid. But what it does is it teaches you things in life. It teaches you things what you wouldn't do next time. It teaches you how to look for deals. It teaches you what is a deal. And then you look at other things, other investments you make, and things like some of the things that I'm invested in, and saying like, hey, what I did in the past, I would have done that differently. This is how. I might have still made the investment, but I would have structured the deal differently. What I'm saying is that throughout my life, I've learned enough to where I'm significantly more intelligent when it comes to what to do with money. Structure, terms, deals, all those things play a part in where I would put money or what I should do with money. And I think that as you grow, as you get older with money, you're going to make mistakes. And anybody, again, like, I don't want a 20-year-old commenting on this video, right? Like, I look at, and no offense to it, and I don't mean to, like, that sounds terrible, and I don't mean it like that. But what I do mean is that when I see very young people trying to be life coaches, I don't want your life advice.
Yeah.
And it's no offense, but I don't, because there's no way at 21 that you're going to be able to tell me what I need to do in my life. Mm-hmm. Personally, I have 3 kids. I don't need you to tell me what to do with my life. You don't have children. You can't tell me what I should be doing in my world when you don't have children and I do. That changes your whole life. Also, and this would be like for someone in their 20s that has done really well. My advice to you is be smart, ask questions, get mentors that can help you. But don't go out there and try to tell somebody what they should be doing with their money. And again, I know that sounds like a little bit harsh, but what makes people great with money is experience of what they wouldn't do the next time. It's just a fact. I mean, now when I'm talking to the audience here that are in their 40s, 50s, or 60s, I think they would agree with me in saying, yes, as I've matured, as I've gotten wiser, I now have a better understanding of financial situations in my life, of the things that I would do or would not do based on my experience. Experience is everything. Experience is what teaches you. Experience is what teaches you. It teaches you how to structure the partnership the right way, how to structure the LLC the right way, how to find ways to maneuver money in terms of tax implications. It teaches you so many things that you don't know because you've never experienced it. Mm-hmm. There's no way I could sit down with somebody that hasn't gone through certain things that I have and explain to them why I structured things a certain way, because they just haven't experienced that yet. They probably will. No one likes to lose money, but when you lose money, you learn the most. And I've been an entrepreneur. I've been on my own for 21 years now. And in those 21 years, I've been able to do very well for myself. I've made mistakes, but those mistakes have gotten me to where I am at this very moment today to say I'm quite wise when it comes to what I've experienced in my life for being 44 years old. Mm-hmm. And I like giving that advice. I like being able, and by the way, I'm not a multi-$100 million a year guy, $100 million guy. I'm not. People might think I am. They're nuts. I'm not.
I'm sitting here thinking you're a billionaire.
Yeah, no. I mean,
is that in the cards, by the way?
No, I don't give a shit about that. No. What I mean though is, me personally, there are many people in my life that are significantly wealthier than I am. Guess what? I use those guys for advice. I use those guys to say, what did you do at this point? What did you do at this point? Now I know where I am in my life, and I'm doing very well, right? Got a company that's very valuable. I'm okay. Everything's good. But I seek out advice even from where I am today, because if I question something or I have a thought, I'm like, I'm going to call this person and see what they think. I've learned that having people that you can turn to and saying, hey, give me your advice on this. Not that you always follow it, but at least you start thinking about it. And I want to do that for others. I want to be able to say, just be cautious here, or no, I like that deal, and let me tell you why I like that deal. This is outside of ordinary income, by the way. Mm-hmm. Your job and making money there. I'm talking about what you do with it.
Right.
And what you do with it is what propels you to be on a different level rather than just worrying about your ordinary income. And there's levels to that game. I would advise people that have less than $1 million differently than I would people that have between, say, $1 million and $5 million. And I would advise different from 5 to 20, and I would advise different from 20 to 50. And and it's all situational based. It's all situational based. What's important to you? You're like, do you have a family? How old are your children? What are you trying to accomplish? Risk versus reward. Let's look at it. Are you certain that you want to go down that path based on these factors that could play? Because what always happens is it's the thing that'll burn you is what you don't think about. You can think of all your bases being covered, and it's the one thing you just didn't think of. I mean, I can tell you deals that I've done recently, that one in particular, where I'm like, I just didn't think of that. Live and learn. Now, thankfully, I didn't get burned, but what it did is it bought somebody an extra year to pay off debt that I didn't think about in this particular transaction. So I was talking to my attorney about the deal, and I'm like, why didn't we think of that? And even he was like, I don't know. Shit happens.
Yeah.
Right? But again, next time I'll remember that. These are just mental check marks and life lessons that as you start working with your money, there are things that you want to look out for when you're making investments or you're putting your money somewhere or when you're talking to your money manager of what they're doing. You know how many people just give money to their money manager and they just say, hey, go do what you want to do with it? Well, that's pretty scary.
Yeah.
Do you want annuities? Do you want cash flow with your money? Do you want to roll the dice and just accumulate more and more and put it back into whatever investments and whatever vehicles are out there? What are you trying to do with the money? Are you trying to use it as a mechanism for tax savings? I mean, if you're making a lot of money, the tax savings becomes incredibly important, right? We talked about that a month ago. So again, I try to say, don't listen to me, but if you want advice, I'm happy to give it, right? Because my situation is different than yours and it's different than other people's out there. I also don't try to be a person that thinks that they know it all, because I don't.
Yeah.
I don't. I know where I stand. I know what I like to invest in. I know where my sweet spot is, but I learned that over time.